Hello Internet, I am the hero of Julius once again with another One Piece chapter summary. This week's chapter is chapter 1026, The Pivotal Clash. And it is mostly about the start of Luffy's rematch with Kaido. So let's get into talking about the artwork first, as always. This is actually a really cute one. It's Nami and Leo of the Tontada tribe. They are designing a clothing line for little lion cub, and you see obviously the cub's father sitting in the background watching. But what's cool about it is it's the same design that Bellamere used when repurposing Nojiko's clothes for Nami. It's the dandelion or the sunflower that turned into a lion. So it's really cute. It's a cute little callback, especially for people who've been reading since the older days. So it was just something cute. Still waiting on the next chapter story. I'm starting to lose faith that one's going to happen during Onigashima. It'll probably be right after Luffy defeats Kaido is when the next cover page story will begin. Still hoping it's Katakuri related, but anything could happen at this point. Without further ado though, let's get into the actual chapter itself. So the chapter starts off with the fire festival still going on. You see Tengoyama, he's hanging out with little Otoko, taking care of her because, well, I don't think Toko has anyone left. But with this, he's thinking about Tama, who is currently on Onigashima fighting alongside the rest of them, and how he really couldn't stop her. She got away from him fast enough, and while the Smile users did promise to protect her, he can't help but worry about it. So he's like, "Are you enjoying yourself, Otoko?" Because he's trying to keep his mind off things too. However, you see in the clouds above, you see Onigashima slowly coming into view. It's only a matter of time before the citizens of Wano actually see it. Someone's going to notice it at some point. Someone's going to look up and see a giant rock heading towards them. However, this could actually end well, especially considering what's going on, and we'll get to that in a moment. We'll actually zoom in on this island and go to back to what's going on in Onigashima. So we get back to Mary, one of Kaido's information network people, is watching this go down and broadcasting to the rest of Onigashima that there is Master Yamato, and along with her is the big dragon that's Luffy is riding, and Kaido himself. Luffy takes the first move here. Luffy gets up, he goes into gear third, and he just bams Kaido right on the head. This is enough time for Momo to try and get around, only to have him open up his mouth, and Kaido starts getting ready to blast him with his Boro breath. Luffy's like, "Okay, Momo, fire your own fire," and Momo's like, "I don't know how to do that yet." And Luffy goes, you can tell Luffy's entire strategy was based on Momo being a dragon right now. So fortunately Kaido blasts, but Momo's able to get out of the way. It just causes just a big ruckus going on up there. But true to Luffy's strategy, we see a small flashback where Luffy is telling Momo on their way up there, "I need you to bite Kaido. Just bite him." And obviously, being as terrified as he is, Momo is like, "There's no way I'm going to do that." But now that they're in the heat of battle, Momo actually works up the courage. He thinks about his father, he thinks about his mother, he thinks about the people of Onigashima, Kiku, and Kinemon, who have all basically sacrificed themselves to make sure that he could become the Shogun of Wano he's meant to be. And that gives him just enough courage to bite into Kaido. And granted, this devil fruit is based on Kaido's, so it makes sense that the teeth of the dragon could bite through the dragon. We don't see any blood, though. So we know the bite did enough for Kaido to, lash out in pain, but I don't know if it actually was enough to scar him or leave any real damage. But as Momo's biting into him, Kaido just turns and looks at him and says, "What are you doing?" And that's enough time for Luffy to punch him again. So Luffy is just using Momo as this giant distraction. I have noticed that Luffy has not gone into Gear 4th yet. I don't know if this is Luffy conserving energy, or if Oda is holding off Gear 4th because we're going to see another Gear 4th mode, perhaps Dragon Man or Tiger Man, as a lot of people have been predicting. Storytelling wise, it's a good build up because we'll see later that Luffy tells Momo to go off on his own and that he'll take on Kaido. So I'm hoping maybe in the next chapter or the chapter thereafter, that's going to be when Luffy shows off his new form, because, you know, final battles like this are always the time to show off new things. It's just standard One Piece, you know, standard One Piece right now. So after the bite of 1026, we cut back down to the Battle of Onigashima and what's going on down there. We see many characters commenting on the dragons. We see Luffy had mentioned, you know, Momo, so a couple members of his crew are like, wait, is that Momonosuke? You even see Zoro and Sanji being like, could it be that little kid? And Zoro's like, no, it definitely wasn't that guy. So that'll be funny once we see Momo's human form. But the big part of this cutaway is that both Cat Viper and Dogstrom are both losing their fights because, as Jack describes, dragons bring storm clouds, and because of both Momonosuke and Kaido in their dragon forms, the sky has become completely covered again, which sucks for our minks because they use their Sulong forms. This also leads to Perospero also getting the upper hand against Cat Viper, and I'm actually interested in this particular image. The way Oda drew it, it looks like Jack's hybrid form is a centaur. Like, you know, it's the woolly mammoth from the waist down, but we see in a later panel that he still has the mammoth face. So I'm wondering if, because this isn't the first quadrupedal zone type devil fruit we've seen. If you go all the way back to Dalton himself, he had the ox fruit. So it's interesting to see that his bipedal or his hybrid form isn't bipedal, it's quadrupedal. It's a big centaur. And if you go by the SBS question corner about Black Maria's hybrid form, perhaps hybrid forms for, you know, Kaido's pirates are a little different because they have access to more powerful drugs. There's not a lot of zone users in Big Mom's crew, but so it would make sense that Kaido would focus his crew's like research, if there is any research, on how to alter zone type devil fruits, similar to Chopper. If Chopper can do it, then there's definitely other characters in the story that can. So it's not a huge shock. I just think it's really cool that Jack's hybrid form is this big mammoth centaur. Anyways, enough about that though. The thing to focus on here is that Jack and Perospero are winning their fights. Back up at the top of Onigashima though, Luffy points out to Momonosuke, hey, little buddy, you just bit one of the 4 emperors of the sea. Literally, one of the 4 top most scary people in the world. Does anything seem scary now? And Momo thinks about it for a second and goes, you're right. I'm not afraid anymore. And Luffy goes, good, you can fly. Go push the island. So that's what he does. Momo's, gonna get going, and Luffy tells him, you go on ahead. I'm gonna defeat Kaido. And of course you get the shot of everybody else down below because this Mary that's watching is broadcasting all this. They hear Luffy say, like, I'm going to beat Kaido, and Big Mom's laughing it up, and Kid's like, you better, and you see the rest of the crew is relieved to hear Luffy's voice, and so you know that this is probably going to be the final round between Luffy and Kaido. Even more so as the two of them clash, and we finally see Luffy's haki at a point where it splits the sky. We finally get a Luffy sky split. And, I mean, that's enough right there to tell me that Luffy is at the lowest level of the level the other emperors are at. Because the only times we've seen the split sky is when emperors clash. We saw Shanks and Whitebeard, we saw Big Mom and Kaido, we saw when Whitebeard and Roger clashed. The sky splits when big names are fighting. On top of the sky splitting, though, we cut back down and you see both Jack and Sparrow are like, oh, this isn't good. Because Sparrow was bragging, he's got Cat Viper on the ground, and instead of just finishing him off like a good villain should, Sparrow's like, oh, poor little kitty, I have such great luck and you don't have any. That's so sad. The sky got so dark. So with the moon coming back, you just see Duke Dogstrom getting up and he looks at Jack and he goes, I don't want you to talk anymore. And Cat Viper gets up and goes, so, what were you saying about luck, buddy? And then we just get a nice little panel of the two of them wiping those two out with a final strike. And you see the two of them fall to the ground, just taken out completely. Watching this go down, though, a man is peeking through a doorway and he sees Jack get defeated and he goes, oh man, even Jack got beaten. Well, that's not really my problem, though. And Oda's not even hiding it this time. It's Orochi. So say it with me, everyone. Orochi isn't dead. Ooh, what a shock. Orochi's still alive. My guess is because the first time we saw his head get cut off, it was one head that Kaido cut off. The second time we saw his head get cut off, it was either 6 or 7, but it was the Red Scabbards cutting off multiples of his heads, but it wasn't 8. So my guess is based on the mythological creature, the Yamato Orochi. I think that's how it's called. I know Orochi is definitely part of the name, but it's an 8-headed serpent. And the only way to kill it is by cutting off all 8 heads simultaneously. So far, we haven't seen 8 heads get cut off, but at this point, I'm not even sure what Oda wants to do with this guy. I mean, Kaido killed him. The Red Scabbards killed him. I originally thought Momo was going to be a part of that fight, but Momo's going to go push the island of Onigashima back, which I'll cut back to that for a second. So remember how I was talking about Onigashima looming over the flower capital? Well, when the people finally do notice it and they start panicking, they're not going to know about Luffy's fight with Kaido. What they're going to see is the brave Lord Momonosuke coming out of the clouds, grabbing the island and pushing it away, saving them all and reaffirming himself as the proper shogun of Wano. I think this is great. This is probably what's going to happen. The people will praise Momonosuke for saving them, and Momonosuke will praise Luffy for giving him the courage to do it. But much like with Alabasta, much like with Fishman Island, pirates saving the island isn't something that's going to be the national headline. What's going to happen is Vicious Pirate Straw Hat Luffy defeats Kaido, and Vicious Pirates, Kid and Law defeat Big Mom, and that's going to be what happens. But overall, what Wano is going to see is Momonosuke defeating the island of Onigashima by pushing it away. Back to what I was saying about Orochi, though, I'm not exactly sure what's gonna happen with him anymore. King is fighting Zoro, so it's not like Orochi's really worth Zoro's time. Maybe Orochi's gonna show up in the middle of that fight and they're just gonna lop him off there. Maybe Hiyori's gonna fight Orochi? Is Orochi even worth fighting anymore? Like, that's the biggest question on my mind. He's already died twice now. At this point, he's just a running gag. But that's pretty much all I have on this week's chapter. I'm looking forward to the fight between Luffy and Kaido. The sky split is a great signification that this is starting. This is going to be the rest of the arc. We're in the home stretch, ladies and gentlemen, and I look forward to seeing how things are going to play out from here. I don't believe there's a break next week, so look forward to that as well. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.